Jai Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Hari Om to everybody. For the past few days, Papa has been trying to draw our attention to the most vital important point in sadhana. That somehow to develop our companionship with Him. The more we think about it, we get convinced that that is the ultimate goal we have to stay. We have a sense of individuality, we have a body, mind, intellect. So long as it remains with us, to lead a blissful life, we must have the feeling of His companionship. By any means. We happen to go through a most inspiring article of Swami Chidanji Maharaj. We will just read it out. Connect yourself with God. You must keep in contact with the source of your being. Yes, capital. Then day by day your spirit will begin to unfold. Source of our being. Then day by day your spirit will begin to unfold. It will grow, develop, progress, expand, and you will attain divine experience. You will become divine. But when there is no connection, or you have alienated yourself from it, or forgotten it, or thought of yourself as something independent, then you are full of sorrow and anxiety, pain and suffering, misery and fear. You are full of a sense of want. Why? Because you have unwisely cut yourself off from the source of your being. The secret of a progressive and fruitful life is to be inwardly ever linked with God, linked with the cosmic being. If you neglect to do that, then your life will be just what it is, always in a state of discontentment, dejection, depression, dissatisfaction. All the negative things come to prevail, to dominate, to torment you, to pull you hither and thither. You feel helpless, you weep and wail, you do not know what to do, you are in despair. So if you want to put an end to this, the only way is to link yourself with God, who is your source, origin. Keep that connection either through inquiry and discrimination, or through constant unbroken remembrance of God and devotion, or through meditation and continuously thinking about Brahman, or through worshipfully dedicating all our activities to Him. Do it by whatever means, but by any means do it. Put an end to this disconnection from God. Put an end to your alienation and forgetfulness of God, who is all in all to you. Then your sorrow, your suffering, everything will start receding and ultimately vanish. When the sun rises, darkness cannot remain. When you become filled with God, sorrow, suffering, pain, ignorance, bondage, fear, worry, anxiety, tension cannot remain, they disappear. So remember, separation from God is the root cause of all human miseries, the center of the human problem. That itself causes bondage. Put an end to this alienation and separation by yoga, by bhakti, by jnana, by inquiry, by discrimination, by sadhana. Seriously strive after the supreme state of being constantly in a state of oneness, attunement with the Supreme, overcome the sorrows of samsara, banish the darkness of ignorance and bondage, come into the light of supreme divine wisdom, that is the wise way. Do it now, become blessed. All nice to hear, how to connect. No? We say this because we are only hearing, Apparently they are not asking any of us to do. They say you do whatever. But ultimately, we have to have so many prerequisites. First of all, simple living habits. For today, the biggest problem is, in good old days, we were able to clearly differentiate between necessities, comforts, and luxuries. But now, many of the luxuries or comforts have become necessities. We are unable to detach ourselves from it. And suppose there is something which is denied to us under this category, how can we concentrate on inward journey? I think the first and foremost call of spirituality is to lead a simple living. You define your own living. Because necessities, comforts and luxuries, it is a relative thing. What is comfort for one may not be comfort for, maybe a necessity for someone. We can't say this is necessity, this is comforts and this is luxury. So the best way is somehow the first we have simple living habits. Whatever position we may occupy. And in order to test us whether we are still in constant remembrance of Him, because out of circumstances, out of compulsion, we may be leading a particular type of life. So now and then we go away from there and see for ourselves. When we deny so many things, how do we react? Because it is a must. Unless we expose ourselves, we may not know whether we can live such a life or not. Because here he says, connect yourself. What is it that is instrumental for disconnecting ourselves from God? First of all, we don't have the right concept of God. That could be one of the reasons. So we will begin from there. Simple living habits, going through the works of Mahatmas, and then going inward, finding out something approximate to the characteristic of that word God. We may not be able to define it because it is very subjective, we all know that. But we try it in our own way and then form a relatively better definition of it. So simple living habits and the right concept of God and the urge to, because the moment we develop this right concept of God, somewhere in the corner of our mind, it will be there. And the connection, by the word connection, we mean only remembering Him. So first of all, we have to somehow see that beyond the exterior dynamics of the body and mind and intellect, there is in us He. First, we believe in the words of the Master, the spiritual preceptor tells us, Shastras tell us. We believe those words and then try in our own way. That is why Swamiji says, by any means you do that. We will read it again. You must keep in contact with the source of your being. Then day by day your spirit will begin to unfold. It will grow, develop, progress, expand, and you will attain divine experience. You will become divine. But when there is no connection, or you have alienated yourself from it or forgotten it, or thought of yourself as something independent, where is it? Then you are full of sorrow and anxiety, pain and suffering, misery and fear. You are full of a sense of a want. No? Why? Because you have unwisely cut yourself off from the source of your being. The secret of a progressive and fruitful life is to be inwardly ever linked with God, linked with the cosmic being. If you neglect to do that, then your life will be just what it is, always in a state of discontentment, dejection, depression, dissatisfaction. All the negative things come to prevail, to dominate, to torment you, to pull you hither and thither. You feel helpless, you weep and wail, you do not know what to do, you are in despair. If you want to put an end to this, the only way is to link yourself with God, who is your source, who is your origin. Keep that connection either through inquiry and discrimination, or through constant unbroken remembrance of God and devotion, or through meditation and continuously thinking about Brahman, or through worshipfully dedicating all activities to Him. Yesterday we saw that farmer telling, every moment he is remembering Him, though apparently he is involved in activities. Do it whatever means, but by any means do it. Put an end to this disconnection from God. Put an end to your alienation and forgetfulness of God, who is all in all to you. Then your sorrow, your suffering, everything will start receding and ultimately vanish. When the sun rises, darkness cannot remain. When you become filled with God, sorrow, suffering, pain, ignorance, bondage, fear, worry, anxiety, tension, they cannot remain. So remember, separation from God is the root cause of all human miseries, the center of human problem. That itself causes bondage. Put an end to this alienation and separation by yoga, by bhakti, by jnana, by inquiry, by discrimination, by sadhana. Seriously strive after the supreme state of being, constantly in a state of fullness, in a state of oneness, attunement with the Supreme, overcome the sorrows of samsara, banish this darkness of ignorance and bondage and come into the light of supreme divine wisdom. That is the wise way. Do it now, become blessed. So when Papa God your companion, no? This is the central theme of spirituality. And in Papa's case, unique. The unique thing is that even after scaling the heights of becoming one with him, he was able to maintain his companionship. Because he is there, then only there is an enjoyment. Ramdas and Ram are one, but Ramdas would like to become Ram. At the same time, Ramdas would like to be his chela, his child, servant. When he was prompted from in Srirangam, no, as Vittal Rao, when he adopted the order of sannyas, the name itself suggests Ram Das, the Das of Ram. So right from the early period of his sadhana, this was very clear to him. He had read Yoga Vasishta, he had read Swami Ramtirtha's various books, Vivekananda's teachings, Srimad Bhagavad Gita, New Testament, Light of Asia, Gandhiji's various books. A lot of churning was going on. He was chanting, he was meditating and then chanting. Meditating means not the usual way of meditation as we understand. Contemplating upon the attributes and then to keep it up chanting. And then finally when he took the leap, everything was non-traditional. He was relying purely on the indwelling reality only. He was having dialogue with the indwelling reality. The companionship was developed there. Second chapter you can find in Renunciation. Where he clearly mentioned that please remove the I-ness in me, I-ness and minus in me. So then afterwards when he adopted sannyas, the name proposed by God intuitively, and for us we will say he himself named himself as Ramdas. So he says in that, what a joy to be the Das of Ram. The companionship, he gives a lot of importance for that aspect. In this state, you never feel lonely. Even in the most desolate solitude, you feel his presence, not only there, but even in the midst of multitudes. He is your never-failing friend. It is strange that he is not a person in the sense in which you see and feel about the forms of being. Both the devotee and his God belong to this realm, other than the one which is gross and material. Very difficult for us to conceive that state, because it is not, when we say companion, it is not the usual companionship that he means. Usual companionship means, he has got a form. We are in close touch with some individuals, even if they are away, nobody is good. gadgets like mobile, it enables us to connect him. But even when it was not there, when the moment we think about him, he comes before us. So the companionship is there at the subtle level also, not only at the gross level. But here what, when Papa says companionship, it is not through the form. So we have to go within, churn, do the churning and find out for ourselves how to develop that companionship with the formless. Yes. He clearly mentioned, it is strange that he is not a person. In the sense in which you see and feel about the forms of beings about you in this world. Both the devotee and his God belong to a realm other than the one which is gross and material. That's why he mentioned it as a mysterious power. No? The mysterious power which activates my sense of individuality. Sense of individuality is there, but the mysterious power that activates the sense of individuality. So in that way we can say technically too, the source or the karana, the cause and the effect. But actually without the source the effect cannot be there. So if the mysterious power is not there, the sense of individuality is also not there. Now we understand why he used that mysterious power in the introductory part of In Quest of God. Before the first chapter begins, he introduces who is Ram. And there he mentions mysterious power. We have to do a lot of churning with that, inner churning. The mysterious power which is now with us, it is not something we have to learn. The mysterious power because of which we know that it is a mysterious power. And when once we get an idea, probably we might be able to develop this companionship, the right companionship. And in certain Bhaktottama's case, we have seen through that form also they have been able to maintain. But it was 24/7 for them. No other thought. Accepting him through that form. But later on when we go through many of their works, everything is universal only, global only, cosmic only. That is not cultivated, no, it grows by itself, spontaneous. That cannot be a matter of discussion at all. It is spontaneous. So only about this we have to discuss. The other aspect, through the form, when they feel the life of Bhaktottamas, just because we read it will not come. Of course, it may give us good samskara, but it has to be spontaneous. That devotion is spontaneous. It is not a product of any churning or thought. We don't belong to that category. That is why we have to discuss all these things. So he here says, you may reach the height of his impersonal nature. You may dissolve your little self in his all-pervading infinite consciousness. You may behold him everywhere, but communion with him as a personal truth and ideal is a rare and exalted experience. Now you can converse with him, play with him, be ever joyful in his company. This eternal beloved of yours is not only an embodiment of love and joy, but also a personification of power. Power. Mysterious power. It is for this fellowship you discard everything else. It can remain unbroken even after you realize your identity with Him by the merging of your separate individuality into the cosmic existence. Before this blessed state is attained, there is a tug of war, there is a hide and seek, there is a touch and go, and the resultant moments of pain, longing, and despair. These things are not for you who have achieved the grandest consummation of your spiritual quest by making God as your own, your one true, constant, immortal companion. It's a mystic union, a dual role of the same truth, at once personal and impersonal. You look upon him in various ways, as a friend, as a master, a mother, a father, a comrade, a lover, and even as a child. Whatever the mode of relationship, the continuous presence and contact with him brings you a unique peace and joy, compared to which every other delight pales into insignificance. So the first thing you have to do in order to know and love God is to become aware of your kinship with him. Verily you are born of him, a spiritual offspring inheriting the great originator's nature and qualities. This recognition of relationship with him through continuous thought and meditation of him dissolves the screen that separates you from him, and thereafter you always bask in the sunshine of his divine presence and feel that the beloved is always with you, never losing him for a moment, ever enveloped by his love and radiance. So the first thing in order to know and love God is to become aware of your kinship. He says, verily you are born of him. The present me, we try to go to the source with the present me. When we were a child, the present me was not there. Before that, when we were a tiny little speck in our mother's womb, origin. Intellectually, we can understand all these things. So then we have to start from faith only, belief. Bijam mam sarva bhutanam. I am the eternal seed of everything, God says in Bhagavad Gita. So then we can say that I was one among the eternal seed. So that's why he says, verily you are born of him, a spiritual offspring inheriting the great originator's nature and qualities. So Papa gives emphasis. The chanting of the name should enable us to always get in touch with the source. It is for that purpose we have been asked to chant the name. He gave us an individuality, and he is there in the form of life, in the form of awareness, in the form of intelligence, in the form of all faculties, which he made us to feel, developed by I am there, then the other factors. But unfortunately, as we were not taught this, we thought we were getting all this from outside. There is no outside, because everywhere he has brought it out. In the 15th chapter, when the Lord says, there are only three. Yesterday we were reading, to Gita Jayanti day. Me, the Bhakta, he, the Lord, and rest of the things are articles of worship. So to keep up that, we are chanting the name. Articles of worship. That means everything we will handle. Every person we handle, everything we handle with that bhavana. We may fail, we may forget. Out of 100 we may fail 99, but still one we may, So this is, today is Swami Ranganathanji Maharaj's Jayanti day. We remember him with not merely reverence, a great teacher who used to assure us, that be a yogi, 5% yogi, 10% yogi. I cannot become a 100% yogi. It doesn't matter. Swarpam apyasya dharmasya. That is the sloga. He will quote that. That is enough. So let us make a beginning. So Papa's connection, we have intellectually understood now. We have been chanting his name, we have developed a taste for Ram Nam also. Now let us practically make use of it by bringing this dimension. When we say about Ranganathanji Maharaj, many of his, he brought out the Bhagavad Gita not under the usual title. It's a universal message of the Bhagavad Gita in the light of modern thoughts and modern needs. And similarly, Vivek Chudamani, toughest subject. That also he brought it out. And the highest philosophy is put in simple words. Like we have paid richest currencies to have this body, ship. Durlabam trayamevai tadu. Devanugraha hetukam manishyatvam mumukshatvam mahaburusha samsheha. Second sloga in Vivek Chudamani. And he will explain everything. These three are very rare. Manishyatvam, Mukshatvam, Mahaburusha Samshaya. Human birth,